All right, how we doing? It's Mr. Lincoln with you today for chapter 14 in the textbook, which starts off on page 459, but that's just some text there that you can read. And it really starts on page 460. So if you are watching from home and you need to pause to open up the book, take a minute, pause me, and come back. La la la. But if you are not, you should be ready to go. Make sure to get the E14 Try document from the Google Classroom. I'm going to pull one down for myself here and open it up. What we need to know about this Hold on just a second. Aha. There we go. Now I can find the thing with the stuff. Okay, E14 Try. If you have Excel at home, please download it in Excel so that you can see it used in Excel. Okay. Come on. Now, what is going to happen today is we're going to learn about a special kind of function that you might not be used to seeing the way that it normally does things. And that's going to be requiring you to use your thinking caps today. Okay, so with Excel, it's not just a number cruncher. It's actually something that can do some thinking for you if you get it to program the right way. There's two ways that you can get Excel to do some thinking, if you will. One of them is to change the way that the colors and the background letters and stuff like that look whenever it meets a certain criteria. And we'll get to that next week. That's called conditional formatting. But, hang on. Let me make sure I got the right screen. But the other way that this can happen is to see if you can get it to do a function called the if function, which asks a question and then gives two options as to what to do when the answer to that question is either true or false. Okay, and it requires a little bit of thought. Requires a little bit of a thought process whenever you're putting this together to make sure that you have structured the argument, so to speak. If you structured the argument in the correct way. Okay, now. You've got this spreadsheet right here. It's the Art Club candy sale. It shows like all these people, this Tamika Brown person, Caitlin Flynn, Jolie Chen. All of these people have sold particular types of candy for a particular price. They sold a certain number, and that's given a total amount in sales each time. Okay? Now, we have two columns here. Did we meet the unit goal, and did we meet the dollar goal? Okay? And we can program this Excel spreadsheet and obviously the Google spreadsheet as well. We can program these two spreadsheets to show a yes or no answer based on the information that we have here. And if that information changes, we can have it automatically update to show us that the situation has changed. Okay? So an if statement, an if function is a logical function. Now, when I say the word logical, you probably are thinking about something that makes sense, right? The word logical makes sense, right? Like it's logical that you come to school every day, otherwise you're going to fail and have to come back to school next year and repeat everything, right? Okay, I'm not necessarily talking about that form of the word logical. I'm talking about the computer processing, the computer thinking type of logical term, in which I mean yes and no, true and false, ones and zeros. Okay, the more that you get into computer programming, the more that you're going to find out that computers basically have like a very primitive style of thinking, and that is that things are either yes or no. And that's just basically because of the way that computers are structured, the way that computers work physically. Okay, you have spaces in a computer that hold an electrical charge, and that charge is either yes, charged, or no, not charged. Okay, in computer terms, it's a 1 or a 0. Okay, and the more you get into that, the more you realize that that's how computers think. Computers do not have maybe. Okay, computers do not do maybe. Computers do yes and no. So the logical thing about computers, when I say logic in a computer sense, it means yes or no answers, true or false answers, zeros and ones, that kind of stuff. Okay, so when I say this, I have a statement called an if statement, and it's a logical function. That means that it's a yes or no, true or false kind of answer. With an if function, you can tell Excel to perform one or two different calculations based on whether or not the data matches a logical test. If it's true, if this thing that you're looking at is a true statement, then it will do the first thing that you have on the list after it. But if it's not, it's going to do the second thing. Okay? So let's just go ahead and try one out here real quick. In the yellow area on page 460, okay, you've opened up this document, hopefully, this spreadsheet. All right, we're not going to do the header stuff. We're just going to go ahead and proceed to step 5. Click cell F4. F4, right underneath where it says unit goal met. Okay, and we're going to go to the formulas tab. Okay, we're going to go to the formulas tab in Excel. I'm sorry, in Google Sheets. You can click to the functions, which has got their little guy here with the weird S, the Greek letter S. And we're going to look in the logical area, okay, and you can find the if, okay? Make sure you're in the right place, because if you put this in the wrong place, it's going to act stupid and not work, okay? So logical if, okay? Same thing over here. Logical, here it is. Formulas, logical if. Now, if you're good, you can basically like just type up the if statement. But as you can see, the arguments for the if statement, there are 3 things within the parentheses that need to happen in order for a logical if statement to work. Okay? First off, you must have the logical test. You must have a question that can be answered in a true or false, yes or no kind of way. The most basic of these is a statement that says, does this equal that? Or is this greater than some other thing? Or less than some other thing? Or greater than or equal to some other thing? Okay? If you can create a situation, like if you put that kind of question together, that can be answered in a yes or no, true or false kind of way. Okay? So let's take a look at what kind of logical function we need to put in. D4 equal to greater than or equal to 20. Okay, so logical test. D4, this number sold. Okay, this logical test is basically, did we meet the unit goal? Okay, that means, did we sell as many products as we said we would? Okay, so we're going to look here where we have the number sold, D4. So you can type in or you can click on D4, and it must be greater than or equal to. So type in greater than sign, equal sign, one right after the next, 20. Okay, D4 greater than or equal to 20. Now, personally, I don't like doing this. I like to have a different cell where I list the unit goal and say what the unit goal is, and then just reference that cell. But in the case of the book's creating right here, they're trying to be simple. They're wanting to say, take a look at your number sold. Is it greater than or equal to 20? Okay? If that is the case, and as you can see right here, it's already saying that it's false. It's not going to be true because it's 17. Okay? But we're doing this as an example formula so that we can copy it down to the other ones. Okay? Is D4 greater than or equal to 20? Okay, well, when that is true, okay, we're going to type in the word yes. Okay, the value if true. When we look at D4 and we see that it is in fact greater than 20, okay, whenever that's the case, whenever that is a true statement, D4 has a number that is in fact greater than 20, then the value that's going to display in the cell F4 is going to be the word yes. Okay? Now, if it's false, notice also what happened. Everybody take a look right here. Everybody take a look right here in the value if true. You typed in the word yes, but just as a matter of principle, the computer knows how these things work, and it put in double quotes around the word yes, because it knows that that's how you really need to type it in. So anytime we have text as the answer, it's going to put in quotes to display the word yes. Now, the value if false, guess what it is? Guess what we're going to do whenever the value is false? We're going to say the word a no. Okay. Now you can type in quote no quote, or you could just type in the word no, and Excel will fix it for you by putting the quotes in around it. Okay. You just type in no, and it'll do the quotes for you. It's very handy like that. Now, once you're done, go ahead and say okay. All right. Now, currently, the number sold in D4 is 17. Therefore, the unit goal met? No, it is not. Now, go here to D4. Type in 25. Type in 25 into D4. Press enter. The unit goal automatically shifts over to yes. Based on the situation in D4, it does one of two things. If it's greater than 20, it will display the word yes. If it's not greater than 20, then it will display the word no. This works exactly the same in Google Sheets. Okay, you're going to say if D4 greater than or equal to 20. Now, here's how you type it in if you're just typing it in. Let me see if I can increase the size of this a little bit so we can see it better. All right, here we are. It's going to be equals if parentheses D4 greater than or equal to 20, comma. Okay, so the comma is what separates each part of the argument inside of the parentheses. So the first part of the argument is the question that you're asking, the true or false kind of yes or no kind of question. Okay, so my yes or no kind of question is D4 greater than or equal to 20? That's the question. Now, on to part 2. Type in comma so that we know that we're done with step 1. Step 2, when that's a true statement, what do? We say quote yes, quote. Now, that's all we're going to do for step 1. We could do anything we want to. If it's yes, we can do anything we want to after that comma, and it'll do it. Now, put in another comma, and what happens if it's not greater than 20? Here's what we're going to do if it's not greater than 20. We're going to put in quote no. Okay, that's going to be our answer if it is in fact not greater than 20. Okay, so as you can see, there are 3 sections to each if statement. What is your question? What is your yes or no, true or false kind of question? Comma. What do you need to do if it's true, this question? If the answer to this question is true, what do you need to do? I need to put in the word yes. Comma. What do you need to do if it's not true, this question that you have asked? In the case that it's not true, this is what we need to do. Now, it doesn't have to be yes or no. It could be like B5 times 6. Or in the case where it's not true, B5 times 7. Okay? It could be whatever you need it to be. All right? So, in the one case, we do, if it's true, we do this kind of thing. If it's false, we do that kind of thing. So, in this case, it's a yes or no answer. Is the unit goal met? Well, when it's 17, we did not sell the required 20 units. So, the answer is no. The unit goal was not met. Okay? And you can see that that works for both of them. Now, change it in Google Classroom to 25. The answer changes to yes. Go back to 17. Answer changes back to no. Go ahead and change back to 17 on D4. Okay? So just it changes to no once you type it to D17. Now go back to F4. Copy this formula all the way down. Now notice how your formatting kind of got screwed up whenever you copied this formula. That's because it doesn't have a line underneath it. But this third one always has a line. This third one always has a line. Now you'll notice that you have a little box here at the bottom of your little copy-ness. Go to this box, get the drop-down menu, and say, no, not copied the cells, not formatting only, because that would just be like, how it looks. Say fill without formatting, which means that the formatting, the way the colors are and everything like that remains the same, but the formula goes in place. So click on that, fill without formatting. Okay. Now, if we try this in Sheets, it does the same thing, but guess what? Sheets users, there is no such thing, unfortunately, to help you out. So you're just going to have to go to each one of these individuals and restore your bottom border on the third block on each one. So just go back and restore those blocks. Wah, wah. Sorry, folks, if you choose to use Google Sheets, that's what happens. You got the cheap version, the not very helpful version. So you'll have to go back in and manually redo all of this formatting stuff. Wah, wah. Now, do you guys understand how that worked? Pretty simple and pretty easy stuff, right? For the most part. Now, it's kind of tricky whenever we do that kind of stuff, okay? It's not exactly the easiest thing in the world for people to get. All right, now, let's see. Okay. Now we're going to do something different here with this dollar goal met on G4. And it's a little bit more complicated, but it's not necessarily too complicated. It's all right, but it's not the way I would really want to do it. Okay? So the insert function fx right here, or the fx right here on the formulas. Click on G4, and then click on the insert function fx thing. Okay? Now, you got a thing here, it says, or select a category. Okay? You can select logical. Okay? And then you can find if on the list here. Okay? Say okay. Once again, you return to the same thing. This is going to be very similar for total sales. So we're going to say E4 greater than or equal to, we want to sell at least $60 worth of stuff. Is E4 greater than or equal to 60? Okay, when it's true, once again, the answer is yes. You can put in the quotes if you want to or not. It does not matter. Excel will fix it for you. And the value of false is, of course, no. Now, you can see, like I said, whenever you're doing it with the function arguments pop-up box, you can see that there's a calculation that's happening right now where false is the answer that it's figured out. The answer is here, yes. The answer is no. And what's going to happen whenever this happens? Totally, we're going to have no in the box right there. Okay. Now, you can go ahead and change this if you want to. You can say 65, punch it in there. Oh, look, freaked out. Okay. So, don't do that. Okay. Don't do what I did. That's screwy and not right. Okay. So you got E4 greater than or equal to 60. The value of true is yes. The value of false is no. E4 greater than or equal to 60. Value of true is yes. Value of false is no. Go ahead and say okay. And once again, the way to properly type it in is to say don't forget your equal sign. If parentheses. First off, you ask your question: is E4 greater than or equal to 60? Just say E4 greater than or equal to 60. That's a question that Excel must answer. It's going to look at E4. It's going to get a number. It's going to see whether or not it's greater than 60. If it is not true, that's what it says right here, because 38.25 is not greater than or equal to 60. It skips the first part, which is what you do when the answer is true. And because the answer is false, we're going to go over here to the next one, this part right here, and the answer is obviously to put in the word no. So the word no is your answer. Once again, drag down. Once again, change to fill without formatting. And everything is correctly formatted, and the answers are now all displaying. Yes is when it's above 60, no's if it is not. Okay? Same thing here with the G column on the dollar goals met. Okay? Let's say equals if parentheses E4 greater than or equal to 60, comma, quote, yes, quote, comma, no, quote. Close parentheses, press enter. Okay. And autofill, say check mark. It autofills. And if you use the autofill, which it gives you one too many, so go ahead and delete that one. It does keep the formatting if you use the autofill, which is somewhat helpful. Now, we're about to go down the rabbit hole. This is the part where you definitely have to pay attention to what's going on. Okay? Nesting if functions. Okay? Let's do something that nests an if function inside of another if function. Okay? Watch this. Go back to your dollar goals met. Take a look at this formula here. You can have an if function inside of an if function. Usually you want to structure it on the false part. Okay? Because it's easier to do it that way, where it's easier for the logic that you think about whenever you're doing this to have it say, is it this way? Okay, this is what I want you to do. Oh, it's not? Well, is it at least this much? Okay, do this thing instead. For example, take out the quote no. Go in, double click into G4, double click into cell G4, go to where it says quote no. Okay, take that part out. Okay, now here's the tricky part. We're going to put in another if statement. Okay, we're going to put in another if statement. Now, here's where it gets crazy. All right, check this out. If, parentheses, okay, E4, check E4 once again. Is it greater than or equal to 50? Okay. What comes next? I've asked the question, now I type in a comma. Now, the answer, in this case, there's two answers. Okay, what happens if it's greater than 50? Well, it's not 60, so we did not necessarily meet our dollar goal. So we're going to say, quote, almost. Okay, comma. Now, if it's not at least 50, we're nowhere close to the goal. So this time we go with the no once again. Now, I want you to pay attention. Take a look here. If you are doing what I'm doing, you're going to see that this set of parentheses is red, representing this if statement's parentheses. Keep in mind, we're still inside the original if statement, so we still need to have another parentheses at the end to do the parentheses here. Okay? So we need a set of parentheses for this if statement, and we need another set of parentheses for this if statement right here. Okay? So at the end, you're going to need two sets of parentheses. Okay? Press enter. And then copy your formula down. And then do the fill without formatting thing so that it does it. And you can see anytime we're over 50, the answer in G column is almost. But if we are less than 50, we definitely get the no. And if we're greater than 60, we get a yes. Okay? Do you guys understand how that worked? Now, a different way of looking at that can be done like this. Everybody take a look. I'm going to do a different thing. Watch this. Name, grade, passing, question mark. Okay, I'm going to say Bob. His grade was a 90. I'm going to say Joe. His grade was a 65. Oh, not passing, not passing. Letter grade. Okay, column C will be letter grade. Okay, Kim, let's give her a 76. And Timmy, let's give him an 85. Okay? Oof. Watch this. So the letter grade, I'm going to use if statements, and I'm going to bundle them together. I'm going to nest them, they call it, nesting. Equals if, parentheses, take a look at this B2. Is it greater than or equal to 90, comma? If so, the answer is he got an A. Okay? But if not, do we know what he got yet? If it wasn't an A, do we know for sure what letter grade it is? Can we say he got an F? No, right? Because he might have gotten like an 80 and he's got a B, right? Okay, so we got to break it down again. So we're going to use another if statement. And we're going to say if B2 is greater than or equal to an 80, perhaps. Well, are you at least greater than an 80? Well, then you get a B. Okay, now think about the logic here. This is our no answer so far, right? This is what happens if it's yes, we put out A, and this is what happens if it's not a correct answer. Okay? The thing is, though, is that we are breaking this down continually, slice by slice, until we find the answer that we have. Then it exits the program and it gives the letter that it needs to. For example, though, like if I have an 85, well, how do I know it's a B? Well, if it's a B, we answer yes, but it's like, well, how do we know it's not an A? Well, we already answered the question of whether or not it's an A by looking at this right here. Is it an A? No, it was not an A because it was less than 90. Okay, it's definitely not an A. So now we have created a lower ceiling on our new question of, well, it can't be greater than 90, but is it at least greater than 80? Okay? And we just keep doing that. We just keep piling if statements in there until we get down to there's only two choices. Okay? I'm going to say B2 greater than or equal to 75. If so, we got a C. And the last one is if B2 is greater than or equal to a 70. Now, here's where it stops. Here's where the if statements stop. If it's true that you got greater than a 70, it's a D, comma. If it's not a D, what is it? It's an F, right? Are there any other choices? Do we need another if statement at this point? No, because there's only two choices, a yes and a no, a true and a false. You either got a D or you got an F, okay? You didn't get an A, B, or a C. Those are out right now. There's only two options left. Did you get a D or did you get an F? So the answers are D and F. Now, pump in all of the parentheses that you need, and then you get your letter grade answer. Copy that formula down to the other guys, and your letter grades are now official. He got an A, he got an F, he got a C, he got a B, or whatever. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll talk about this a little bit more. There are a few more kinds of conditional functions that we can look at, which will be very interesting and mind-blowing and all kinds of good stuff. If you really want to be a super duper user of Excel, we will talk to you later.